you're going to arrest me on the threat of arrest, I will leave. Are you threatening to arrest me if I do not leave? Then we have a right to be here. Why are you arresting me, officer? Why are you arresting me?
Vegan phobia is real and it is wrong. This guy got arrested in the United States just for talking about this. Where cow's milk comes from. Like what the? Drink soy milk, oat milk, rice milk, almond milk. Don't steal milk from a cow. Be vegan, start right now. Follow that vegan teacher. She will show you how. Hey everyone, I am Miss Katie, that vegan teacher, and today I am interviewing two gentlemen who had something terrible happen to them. They are ethical vegans and they are going to tell you about it right now. Guys, introduce yourself and tell the audience what happened.
I'm Darius Dubois, and I volunteer for Anonymous for the Voiceless. With Faraz, I've set up Allied Scholars for Animal Protection, and I volunteer with a not-for-profit in India as well, the Prashant Advait Foundation. And
okay, what is Anonymous for the Voiceless?
What is Anonymous for the Voiceless? So it's an international organization that's got over 1,000 chapters all over the world. And what we do is we go out into public spaces wearing TVs. They're pretty small TVs, and we wear a white Guy Fawkes mask. It's a symbol of protest. And
people don't know what that is. What's that? What's a Guy Fawkes mask?
It's just a symbol of protest.
Scary mask?
No, it's not particularly scary. It's just a white mask.
Okay.
And we go out showing people footage of what goes on in the industries that abuse animals, such as meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. And what we've noticed, we don't approach people. We only talk to them if they come to us. And oftentimes, people come to us saying, oh, that is terrible. That is disgusting. What's going on with the animals? And then we have conversations such as, well, is it safe to say you're against animal abuse? And everyone says yes. And then we show them how they say that they're against animal abuse, but they actually abuse animals at least 3 times a day. So we have very productive conversations when we do this, even in Amsterdam, and we've never had any issue. And for the first time, we had an issue in a public park in Houston.
Okay, you want to continue and add to that, Faraz?
So my name is Dr. Faraz Harsini. I'm a biomedical and food system scientist, and I'm originally from Iran. So my introduction to this was from the human side and science side, because back in Iran, I used to be doing a lot of human rights activism. I almost got killed in protest. Then I came to the US. I studied I got my master's and doctorate in biomedical sciences. I work on cancer and other global issues such as pandemics and antibiotic resistance.
Okay.
But at some point, when I saw the truth of what happens to animals, I decided to go vegan and actually try to educate public about this, because the footage that we show, it's nothing but the truth behind the scenes of meat, egg, and dairy industries. And I always say, if that was happening to cats and dogs, there would be riots everywhere. But we are just desensitized. So that's why all we want to do is to bring the truth to people who don't see or they don't know it.
Okay, so I understand that one of you guys was arrested, not both of you. So do you want to explain what happened?
Yeah, so I was arrested. It was in a public park called Discovery Green in Houston. When you go into the park, there's a big stone tablet that says Owner City of Houston. When you go on their website, it says Owner City of Houston. When you Google Discovery Green protests, pretty much every group has protested at Discovery Green. So it's pretty obvious that it's a public park. And every time we went, management, so this is a public park that's managed by a private conservancy called the Discovery Green Conservancy. Every time we went in, they would say, oh, you can't stand here, you can't stand there, people are complaining. So we would comply with them.
What kind of complaints were there? Why are they complaining about what you're doing and not what other people are doing?
Yeah, so they say people are complaining, which is a very low threshold. And in America, at least we have what's called the First Amendment, which is government shall make no law preventing free speech. So it doesn't matter if people are complaining, as long as it's not sexually obscene, as long as we're not inciting people to violence, and as long as we're not playing loud music, we can go out in public spaces, sidewalks, public parks, and talk about whatever we want. It can be religion, it can be non-religion, it can be whatever the issue is. All Americans have a right to do that. So we were exercising those rights. And eventually it came to the point where they just kept hassling us. So we said, it has to stop. So for us—
Who was hassling you? How many— describe the situation to me. Like, how many people were hassling you? And did you hear the complaints yourself? Like, did citizens say to you, stop that right now? Like, was there yelling? Or I guess there's a video you said that we're gonna post, right?
Yeah,
in the comment section.
Two very exciting videos that you guys should watch that will explain what happened, how the cops just led me on and then eventually arrested me, which is why now we have two of the premier organizations in the United States, FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, and the Law and Religion Clinic at the University of Texas, both coming together to defend us because it's such a cut and dry case, at least in my opinion. So FIRE is the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, and they fight for free speech all over the United States. It doesn't matter whether it's a liberal cause, a conservative cause. All they want is people to not be censored because of their speech. So they're representing us. And then we have the Law and Religion Clinic from the University of Texas representing us. They were the first folks who decided to fight for our cause. So we're very grateful to them.
So these people are not vegan?
No, they're not vegan, but when they see the video— yeah, and when they see the video and they see how we were censored, their motivation's coming from protecting the First Amendment right. Because at least to me at this point, this goes above animal rights, which is that if we are censored and we're not allowed to speak, what rights do we have left as citizens in the country, right?
Listen, I can totally relate to you. I don't know if you know, but I have like 760,000 followers over on TikTok, and my videos are consistently censored. I mean, we cannot show— it's ridiculous. I can barely talk. I have to really, really try to get the message out there because obviously, you know, they say that they do not want you to show animal suffering, but you literally see, you know, a dead corpse. They say, well, we don't want to see any burnt animals, but it's okay if they're in a frying pan. Like, what the, you know, like, it's crazy.
Ludicrous, right? And then the Law and Religion Clinic at the University of Texas decided to represent us because my motivation for talking comes from ahimsa, which is the Indian concept of nonviolence, right? So in India, there were a lot of religions, Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism, which all had at their core the concept of ahimsa, which is if you don't have to hurt someone, don't hurt that person or don't hurt that animal, right? So it stemmed from that. And if the government tells me I can't speak from that, and my motivation is to talk about ahimsa, which has its origins in the Indic religions of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, that is again a violation of the First Amendment. So from both angles, free speech as well as religious expression, our lawyers are fighting for us. And maybe for us to talk about what happened on the day, because he was videotaping. So if it wasn't for him videotaping, we would have no case and no evidence.
Yeah, that's so important when you're doing any kind of activism that you have somebody there to videotape. Because look, one of the things that I say about Anonymous for the Voiceless is I say that it's a great group to meet vegans. I personally do not think that the outreach that they do is as good as it could be. This is my personal feeling. I have done some research about that as well, where I have asked people who've passed by, what did they see? A lot of times they think it's a play. They don't know if it's from a movie scene. And so it's so important that somebody is filming either live or often, and also to protect you guys because of anything that can happen at any moment. So yeah, what happened? How did you feel, Faraz, when you were filming, when you were seeing what happened, you're seeing it escalate and you're feeling like, wait a second, this is going too far now, like leave us the F alone. Like, at what point did you start to feel like this is totally not okay?
Yeah, we were not expecting to get arrested, and all we were doing was peacefully and silently. So these are important. So we weren't even like talking to people, yelling at people, approaching people unless they came to us. We were out of the way, silently protesting or demonstrating, really. And we had—
okay, but hold on a second, one second. If you were yelling, if you were standing on a soapbox, if you're standing on a crate, and yelling, you should not eat animals, that is still legal, and you have the right to do that in a park or not?
Correct. So as long as, well, as long as there are limitations such as like we can't have amplified noise. So there are certain limitations. Yeah. But the thing is, we weren't even doing any of that. So we were silently and peacefully demonstrating. And they asked us to leave. The riots actually showed them documentation, which again, it's actually in the video. It's like he said that as politely and respectfully as possible. He was showing them, here are the documentation. On your own website, it says that it's a public property. We can be here. We have the right to be here.
Oh, when you say they, are you talking about two? Is it like public?
The park management. So at this point, the park management and police was trying to harass us. So,
so hold on a second. I just want to paint the scene here. So I picture it. So you're there, and there's a park management who called the police, I guess, and said, "There's these people. They're so disruptive." And you're like, "We're just standing here." Like,
so there is park management, and then they have their own private security. And so at first we started talking to private security. And then they called Houston police. So Houston police at the end joined us. But the thing is, when they asked us to leave, Darius asked the police, like, what is your order? Do you ask us to leave? Because if you, as Houston police, ask us to leave, we will leave because we don't want to get arrested. And he said that like literally 3 times, and police refused to answer. And then at the end, he said, are you threatening to arrest us? Because if you threaten to arrest us, we leave because we are not here for trouble. We don't want to get arrested. All I'm saying is that this is our right to be here. And the police again said, we are not threatening you. You just have to follow what the park manager says. And Darius said, but his order might not be legal, right? Might not be lawful. That's why I'm trained to listen to police officers. What is your order? And at this point, he just said, give me your ID, turn around, you're arrested. And again, he also didn't even mention why he was arrested, which is something that police officers are supposed to say when they arrest somebody. Okay,
so wait, hold on a second. Why do you think that he was hesitant and not speaking out and then just suddenly reacted that way? What do you think was the trigger for him to suddenly essentially break the law? He's not allowed to arrest you.
I mean, I can't really speak on behalf of police officers. That's a whole part of this lawsuit. But if I want to take a guess, probably not knowing the law and really not understanding that they are there to protect the citizens and protect the Constitution, not private property and the park management or anyone else.
Okay, but he cannot claim to not know the law because you literally showed him the law.
Right.
No?
I think that's one of my grievances, which is that I show you the documents, I even make copies for you, but you don't want to read them. You don't want to conduct an independent investigation like police officers usually do, right? They always talk to both sides and see what's happening. There was no attempt at an independent investigation over here. And it seemed almost as if the police officers were working for the private management company, not for the city whose charter is to protect the constitutional rights of all citizens. It's at least to me, it seemed pretty obvious. It's a public park. I'm showing you information. At least look at it before deciding what to do.
Now, gentlemen, what did they say that they were arresting you? Hold on. What were they saying were these supposed complaints? Is it because you were, look, I know we live in a carnistic world. I know there is speciesism, there is vegan phobia, which is something that I talk about all the time. And I would like you guys to actually think about that and talking about that more, which is essentially discrimination against vegans. It exists. And the reason that vegans do not want to talk about it is because they always say, well, we're not the victims. It's the animals that are the victims. But the truth is that even if the people had asked you to leave, like you were, how can I put this? Like, I think you should have said, we're not leaving. It's as simple as that. Like even if whether they're going to arrest you or not, I think we need to be tougher and say, look, I feel like I'm a victim of vegan phobia here because we are talking about veganism, which is essentially saving the animals. And why are you guys acting this way? Why are you ganging up on us? I think we need to name it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, there was definitely viewpoint discrimination because at multiple times, both security and park management said that freedom of speech is allowed, just not this, or we don't want you to show this footage. So very clearly, they didn't want us to talk about what we were talking.
Okay, so let me just say this to you gentlemen, okay? One of the things that I feel very strongly about is to get that word around everywhere. We all know what homophobia is. We all know what racism is, but the word veganphobia is unknown and it is made fun of. And I think that the judge should hear the word. And my recommendation to you is to teach your lawyer about the word and to try to make the point that veganphobia should actually be illegal. And that, I know you're going to win the case regardless of whether you do that, right? It's obvious. But I would encourage you to use the word, to normalize the word, and make sure that vegans know that they are allowed to say it. And they should clearly say to anyone who is trying to discriminate against them, you are acting vegan phobic. You are being prejudiced against me because of the cause that I speak out against. If I was defending Black people or any other minority, you would clearly say you are being homophobic, you are being racist. So why are vegans so afraid to use the word vegan phobic? That's what I want to know.
And even if we were there trying to protect cats and dogs, we would have been probably fine if we were there to show behind the scenes of shelters and say, hey, why don't you rescue these cats and puppies? You know, we would have been fine. But which is the whole idea of speciesism. Why do we love cats and dogs, but we ignore the suffering of so many of other animals who can feel pain and suffering just the same? But I also want to touch.
I just want to say. Sorry, just one second. Sorry to cut you off, but I think it's just so important that we talk about vegan phobia, because even if you win this case, right, they will still come back. Look, I talked to you a little bit about this before for us, before we went on. I said, they will come back and this is what they will say, but you're showing violence and that it's too dangerous for our little children to see. And I said, look, I have a 3-year-old granddaughter. I would not want her to go into a park and see dead animals being murdered. It's supposed to be for 16 and over, 18 and over, whatever. On the other hand, of course, people have a right to know where food comes from, right? So this is why I'm urging you to use the word vegan phobia, because the law, it should be written in there that it should be illegal. It should be a form of discrimination, so that no matter what happens in the future, the case should be a precedent for that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just wanted to, give you guys that to think about and ponder, because I think if the judge rules that vegan phobia is discrimination, right, this is going to help so much in the future if we have a precedent case, because otherwise it's just going to be set in with every other case, and you're going to be like, okay, gavel stamp, okay, yeah, you're allowed to talk, but we need to get that word in there to show that this is deliberate discrimination, and your lawyer should prove it. He should try to say exactly what he said. Well, if we were talking about just cats and dogs, everyone would be okay. But because these are ethical vegans who care about all animals, it's different. All right, anyway, I'll let you guys think about that. And if there's anything else you want to add or talk about, let me know now.
Another reason we really want to pursue this case is because the reason we decided to sue is, first of all, I think this makes it a lot easier for a lot of people, especially vegans, to speak up without being afraid of getting arrested. And the other thing is, this helps to bring the animal rights case in front of the eyes of a lot of other people who otherwise don't think about these issues. And the beauty of this case is that almost everyone in the world, or at least in the US, they care about freedom of speech. And we had a lot of people who said, we are not vegan, but we support this case because it should be their right to speak their mind freely and peacefully.
Right.
So I think this was a very good way to bring this to the attention of general public, because lots of people go about their day, never hear about what really happens to animals. And that's basically what veganism is. That's what made me vegan. And if you have a big non-vegan audience, all I say is that I grew up just like them, just like you, I grew up consuming animal products. I'm from Iran. My traditional food is meat and kebab, right? There was a day I told myself there is no way I would ever go even vegetarian. But the thing is, that I saw what happens to animals, the question became really simple. Do I want to pay for this amount of torture and suffering and mutilation and killing to happen? I love meat just like a lot of other people, but the question became, do I think taste and pleasure justifies hurting and killing animals? And the answer was simply no. And I think unless somebody is actually like a psychopath who doesn't have any feelings for animals, the rest of us do care for animals. We just have to see, first of all, that the first step to change is to actually understand the amount of suffering and pain behind the scenes.
What kind of a video would you suggest? If you could suggest one video. Now, remember that a lot of my audience is actually like 15, 16, depends, all different ages. But is there something that you think would really help people to understand? Like, one of the things I suggest is Dairy is Scary. I don't know what the age limit for that is, but because it's only 5 minutes long, and it shows you about the dairy industry and how horrible it is. And, people often hear vegans say that you should actually quit dairy before meat if you have to choose one or the other, because it is the murder industry. Like, it's horrific. What do you guys think?
To me, I don't know, tell me if you think differently, but Dominion is still one of the best ones. The thing is, I'm actually on a tour. We are on a tour. We are going to top universities in the US right now. Harvard, MIT, Cornell, Columbia, Brown, and I'm giving talk in all these universities.
I just want to say a second, like how great that is. It is so necessary. It is so overdue, because I mean, the fact that I've seen some of the little clips, where you have university people who did not even know that the baby chicks are murdered, macerated at just 1 day old, this kind of thing, like basic stuff. It's incredible. I'm a trained nurse and a school teacher, and my colleagues, most of them do not know what's going on. So how on earth can we get the hospitals to have fully vegan menus? How can we get teachers to talk about, the animals and the planet, and it's all related, if they don't even know themselves? So it's so important what you're saying.
We go on a tour. Not only we do lots of events, but also I speak to students. I have talks. And no matter who my audience is, I always show footage from Dominion. Okay. And it's not easy to watch, but it's a must watch, because you cannot talk about veganism or anything else without actually knowing the amount of suffering. And it's not just being vegan. I really want to be clear that being vegan, if you have any vegan audience, being vegan is the bare minimum we can do.
Exactly. You have to be an activist.
There shouldn't be a word for veganism, the same way that we don't have a word for people who don't rape. We don't have a word for people who don't litter, because you're not supposed to litter. You're not supposed to rape. You're not supposed to be racist. Not being racist, not trashing, not, this is just called being decent. So being vegan is just being decent, is just not paying for animals to be tortured. So if you have any vegan audience,
I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone and get active. Do something.
What I tell people to do is I say, come out of the closet as a vegan. I don't know if you've ever seen my TikToks, but I actually hold up the pride flag and I say, because I don't know if you know, there's a new pride flag with a V in it. Of course, you must know, everybody kind of knows, with a V in it. I said, well, they rejected that flag, the original. I'm bisexual. I came out of the closet when I was 16. Nobody cared. I never, ever had felt any discrimination at all. But when you're vegan, it's a lot of discrimination. And that's why I came up with this idea. And that's why I've been trying to tell vegans about it, that racism and homophobia, they are right in line with vegan phobia, because people are harassed, arrested. I've had teenagers tell me they've been thrown out of the house for refusing to eat meat. I've had teenagers tell me they've been hit for not eating meat or eggs. It is horrific out there.
And speciesism, and speciesism, and speciesism, be kind to the animals. And vegan phobia, and vegan phobia, and vegan phobia, be kind to the activists. Dance if you're vegan, hands up if you're vegan. Think you can't do it? Try it, you can. Yeah.
And it is something very serious in my mind.
Well, thank you for talking with us. I'm wondering, do we want to talk about your experience in Iran and your mom?
As you mentioned about your own sexual orientation, I'm also gay. Grew up in Iran, where homosexuality is punishable by death. back in Iran, I was a part of a lot of human rights activism. This is before I became vegan. And, you know, when I left, I can actually no longer go back to Iran. So some 11 years ago, I saw my mom for the last time. And because,
How old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay.
So because of these, I can never go back to my home country. And there is a chance that I can never see my mom again. So I've been on the other side of what it's like to not have freedom of speech, what it's like to have your rights being oppressed. So that makes a lot, you know, a stronger case for me that why it's important for all of us to be able to speak our mind peacefully and clearly without being threatened to get arrested. And also why it's so important that we not oppress animals of other species, not harm them when we are talking about freedom for humans. Because I was one of them. I was talking about I want peace in this world. I want like feminism. I want rights for humans. And while every time I sat down, I paid for animals to go through, you know, living hell in this world. So the first thing that we can do,
you guys, what was a trigger that made both of you really like, look, I say it takes 100 clicks to become vegan. There's no way anybody becomes vegan overnight. I just don't believe it, because you have to first learn what the word means. You have to ponder it. You have to learn about the difference between vegetarian and vegan and so on. There is, of course, a moment where you declare it, and I call that your vegan declaration day. But what about both of you? If you have I don't know how much time you have. I think you have to be somewhere. But if you have a chance to let people know, what did you see or hear, like a specific speech or somebody said something that was like the last straw? You're just like, I have to do this thing.
I went on a meditation camp about 9 years ago, and the food was vegetarian. And by the end of 10 days, I was eating vegetarian food. So I said, I've always wanted to not eat meat. Let me just continue. So I continued.
Okay.
And then during lockdown, so it was around May 2020, I stumbled across Dominion. And I was shocked at what I said. And I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to eat any more animal products, no wool, no milk, no eggs.
How did you stumble across it? This is, for me, it's the biggest challenge, like I said, is because I cannot show things on TikTok, and, you know, videos get demonetized on YouTube and so on. How did you stumble upon it? Because I often show, you know, I tell people, watch it. And to get them to just click on it is so difficult. You're like,
around the time I was also volunteering with the Prashant Advait Foundation in India. And Acharya Prashant talked a lot about veganism, and you can't really be spiritual if you're eating animals. So I was interested in learning more. So I think in my Googling and YouTubing, I stumbled across Dominion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you cry? Did you cry?
A lot.
Right? Honestly, had you seen Earthlings at all?
I did.
Earthlings before. So I saw Earthlings, and I just cried so much. I mean, I just sobbed. Like I literally just was sobbing my eyes out, and just, you know, and I tried to watch Dominion because I felt it was my duty. I've been vegan for 7 years. I couldn't even, I just had to leave. We were in a group. I couldn't. It's just too much. So yeah, how about you, Faraz?
Yeah, for me, basically one of my friends told me that Faraz, you can't say you love animals and eat them too. I was really mad at her. I didn't like her for 3 months. I was like, you know, how dare you? I almost got killed trying to defend humans, and you're telling me I'm not good enough, and everything that we all know.
Why were you mad at her? Wait. Why were you mad at her? Because
I felt like she was judging me, or just like, she wasn't, by the way. But it's like all in my head, right? So I think when we get upset, it's not at vegan, it's like misdirected anger, because we see the hypocrisy in our own actions. Because the truth was, I was saying that I love animals, and I was eating them, but I loved eating meat so much that I didn't want to believe that I'm on the wrong side. So I'd rather point my anger at someone else.
Just so you know, it's not always the case. Like, one of the reasons that I am so disliked by the general public is because I straight out say to them, you are not a good person if you eat animals. You're not a good person if you're not vegan. And your moral baseline is you must be out of the closet. And that just they get enraged because they're like, how can you say that? I'm like saying, because look, if you were eating a cat or a dog, would you call that person a good person? Like, you're just not. So what's the difference, right? So are you, so you were just talking about, you saw the footage and you realized she was right.
My friend said I can't say I love animals and eat them too. So it took me 3 months. But that's one other problem. She was vegetarian, so she never pushed me. I really wish she did. She said, I really wish, someone said, here is a documentary, watch Dominion, educate yourself. Do you know what? So exactly. Even when I was vegetarian, even when I was vegetarian, I didn't know the truth about egg and dairy industries.
The egg industry is just a cycle of misery. They lie to you endlessly. Don't buy eggs, walk away. Go to egg-truth.com today.
I thought it's very benign, so I didn't think that it was harming animals. So I really wish that, and that's why it's so important for vegans to take every opportunity to speak about it, and just to do something.
Okay, can I just say something now about Anonymous for the Voiceless? Okay, like I said before, I think they are a great social club, but I think that if you are just doing Anonymous for the Voiceless, basically, essentially, it is pretty much useless. You are just reaching out to individuals. You have so much more power by getting on something like TikTok or Instagram and doing 15-second videos that hundreds of people will see. These individual conversations, in my view, they are just one little click. It is so rare that somebody has the time, and you waste so much mental energy as well, like emotional energy, trying to connect with these individuals. But I think it is a great way to meet vegans. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that there are so many flaws with Anonymous for the Voiceless. And one of the biggest ones is that they think they want to be mysterious. So they have these little screens and nobody even really knows what the heck it's about. You have to have signs from many, many meters away that says, coming up. Check the screen. Then another, you're walking some more. Look up from your phone. You're going to see something terrible. This is shocking. You have to have all around you. There should be signs that warn people. And people are like, oh no, we want it to be they say, we want it to be a surprise. We don't want to be too pushy. But you know what happens? I have stood there. I've stood away from the group. Nobody knew that I was vegan or not. And I just randomly was chewing gum, checking my phone. Hey, what's going on back there? What's going on? No, we don't know. How the fuck can you have hundreds and hundreds of people walk by and not know? So these signs that they have that say just truth, bullshit. It should say, this is animal abuse. And it should say animal abuse. We are vegan. This is a moral emergency. None of I think it's just, honestly, I would say that there are so many other better ways to do activism. And a lot of vegans hate me for saying that, because I used to promote Anonymous for the Voiceless until I really observed what was happening. And it's the only way it's good is if you have somebody filming you live and showing that, and they're promoting that.
In our experience, it's extremely effective. And it's actually how we met a couple of years ago. And, just yesterday we were doing that and made a lot of people vegan. And the whole idea is people they get curious. They don't know actually it's about veganism. So they come to us and talk to us. But I agree with you that doing this is also not enough. So I encourage everyone to do as much as they can. And especially if they are young, which sounds like a lot of your audience is, then they should actually think about their careers. If they go to law school, medical school, whatever they do with their life, there is a way that they can make it about animal rights. But thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think it's really great, like I said, what you're doing in the universities, because there you are educating people, and hopefully you're filming your lectures and, just taking 15 seconds I suggest this to everyone, just use your phone and just say, hey, I'm just about to give another lecture, talking about veganism, everybody stay vegan, and just put it on your Instagram or something before you go in. It's constant. It's not just one thing. And remembering that people have such a short attention span. Even the shirts say Anonymous for the Voiceless. It doesn't even say vegan. It doesn't say anything. To me, it's ridiculous. But that's my That's my opinion. For sure, though, there's no doubt in my mind that anyone involved in Anonymous for the Voiceless has their heart in the right place. And that includes you guys. Anyway, thanks, guys, for being here. I wish you the best of luck. And do you know when your court date is?
We don't know as yet. We just filed. But I'll send you links to 2 videos and a blog post that we wrote. And thank you again. Sorry we've got to rush, but
yes. Thank you guys so much for being here. All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Do we have your email? Do we have your email? Sorry.
Yeah, you do. Okay, bye. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if you liked what you heard today. If you are vegan, let me know if you agree with what I said about Anonymous for the Voiceless. Don't just blurt out something without giving it some thought. And coming up next on screen are going to be a bunch of other videos. Be curious. Click on them and let me know what you think. I'll see you later. Bye for now.
Let's follow that vegan teacher on YouTube right now. Let's help her save every chicken, pig, and cow. Let's follow that